right, welcome back, everybody. So today we're diving into the world of restaurants.
Ooh, delicious.
You know what? We're going to be looking at two really interesting angles here. First, how to use SEO to drive more business.
Gotta get those hungry customers in the door.
Exactly. And then we're going to explore the factors that really make or break that customer experience. What makes people happy? What makes them come back for more?
The secret sauce of customer satisfaction. I like it.
Right. And to guide us, we've got two sources. SEO for restaurants and cafes, which is all about search engine optimization for, well, restaurants and cafes. I know, right? And then we've got the next frontier of restaurant management, harnessing data to improve guest service and enhance the employee experience.
Ooh, that one sounds a bit more academic.
Maybe a little, but trust me, it's packed with juicy insights.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
So get ready to learn some really interesting stuff today.
Like what?
Well, we'll uncover the impact of something as simple as table size on customer satisfaction.
You mean bigger tables, happier customers?
You'd think so, right? But the findings might surprise you. We'll also debunk some common myths, like the idea that fancy full-spectrum lighting leads to more sales.
I've always wondered about that one.
Me too. But let's start with the basics, getting those customers through the door. Have you ever wondered how some restaurants always seem to be at the top of Google search results?
It's like they have some kind of magic spell.
It's not magic, it's SEO. Specifically local SEO. It's all about optimizing your website to attract customers in your area.
So basically making sure your restaurant pops up when someone searches for best pizza near me.
Bingo. And here's why it's so crucial. Our SEO book says only 5% of people bother to look past the first page of Google search results.
Wow, that's like everyone's attention span these days.
Pretty much. So if you're not on that first page, you're basically invisible.
Yikes. Digital ghost town. Not good for business.
Not at all. This book gives a great example to illustrate this. Imagine you're a new Italian restaurant in Magnolia, a neighborhood in Seattle.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Red checkered tablecloths, the smell of garlic bread.
Perfect. Now, there are only 5 other Italian restaurants in the area, so even with just basic on-site SEO, you could easily land on page 1 for searches like Italian restaurants in Magnolia.
Makes sense. Less competition, easier to stand out.
Exactly. But what if you're not in a quiet neighborhood? What if you're downtown, competing with hundreds of other restaurants?
Things get a little more intense.
For sure. Then you need a more robust, ongoing SEO strategy.
So like constantly tweaking and refining things?
You got it. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Gotcha. Always got to be one step ahead.
Speaking of starting strong, some really important things to consider when you're launching a brand new website. It's like setting up your kitchen before opening night.
Mise en place, crucial for a smooth service.
Exactly. And one of the first things they emphasize is blocking Google from indexing your site during development.
Wait, why would you want to hide your website from Google?
Because Google hates duplicate content.
Ah, so it's like showing them a half-baked recipe.
Exactly. You don't want Google to see a messy, unfinished version of your site and then penalize you for it later.
That makes sense. First impressions are everything.
Right, so you want to make sure everything's polished and perfect before you unveil it to the world. And another crucial tip is to be super careful about using a previously owned domain name.
Why's that?
Because you might be inheriting some digital baggage you don't want.
Ooh, like bad reviews from the previous owner.
Could be. Or maybe they had some shady SEO practices that could hurt your rankings. It's always best to check the domain's history using the Wayback Machine.
Wayback Machine? That sounds like something out of Doctor Who.
It kind of is. It lets you see what a website looked like in the past, just to make sure there are no skeletons in the digital closet.
Smart move. Don't want any goats haunting your online presence.
Exactly. Now, once you've got that squeaky clean domain name, it's time to pick your perfect one, which is also a bit of an art.
Oh, I can imagine.
Some common pitfalls people fall into, like using just your brand name without any relevant keywords. Say your restaurant is called The Spot.
Cute name, but...
Then tell people what kind of food you serve, right?
Right, it's like The Spot, for what?
Exactly. Another mistake is choosing a keyword that's either too broad or too narrow. You got to strike that Goldilocks balance, a keyword that accurately reflects your offerings, but also gives you room to grow.
So no restaurants.com or vegan, gluten-free, paleo, cupcake, bakery.com.
You got it. And here's another one. If you think you might want to sell your restaurant someday, avoid including your own name in the domain. It'll make the transition much smoother.
Makes sense. Keep it clean, keep it simple.
Precisely. And speaking of keeping things organized, let's talk about URL structure. It's like the roadmap of your website.
Okay, so how do we create a Michelin star-worthy roadmap?
Well, a simple services structure might work in some industries, but in the restaurant world, you need to be more strategic.
More strategic how?
Instead of having yourdomain.com services catering, you want something more specific, like yourdomain.com Seattle wedding catering.
Got you. So it's clear what that page is all about, both for Google and for the hungry humans.
Exactly. And this book gives a great example of a Chinese restaurant with multiple locations and services. They suggest creating separate URLs for each location and service.
So like spicerestaurantseattle.com downtown Chinese delivery and spicerestaurantseattle.com Ballard Chinese takeout.
You got it. It's all about making it super easy for people to find what they're looking for.
Makes sense. No one wants to be clicking around for ages trying to find the right menu.
Right. And Google loves that kind of organization too. Now, before we go any further, we have to talk about keyword research. It's like having a well-stocked spice rack.
Essential for flavor?
Exactly. Using specific SEO plugins, and even provides a spreadsheet of restaurant and cafe keywords to get you started.
Ooh, handy.
I know, right? So if you're opening that taco joint in Austin, you can plug in Austin Tacos and get a whole list of related keywords to sprinkle throughout your website.
Sounds spicy.
And don't forget about those location keywords, like knowing which neighborhoods are craving tacos the most.
So you can target your marketing efforts accordingly. Smart.
We're just scratching the surface here. This book also goes into detail about creating an engaging about page, optimizing your blog content, and even using tools to check for duplicate content and spy on your competitors' backlinks.
Wait, spy on the competition. Is that legal?
Totally. It's called competitor analysis, and it's all about learning from what others are doing well.
So like, if my taco rival is getting rave reviews on a popular food blog, I could reach out and see if I could get featured too.
Exactly. It's all about playing the long game and building a solid online presence that keeps those customers coming back for more.
Just like you keep coming back to me for more, right?
Oh, you know I do. But enough about digital seduction for now. Let's talk about the actual dining experience. We've got customers clicking through our website, their mouths watering. Now what?
Now it's all about making sure their real-life experience lives up to the hype.
Right, because what's the point of a killer website if the actual restaurant is a flop?
Exactly. Our second source, The Next Frontier of Restaurant Management, really dives into creating that amazing customer experience. They talk about this thing called the Guest Service Exchange, or GSX.
GSX sounds kind of techy.
It's more of a model, a way of understanding how everything works together to create a positive service experience. Think of it like a recipe, but instead of delicious food, we're cooking up amazing service.
I like where this is going. So what are the key ingredients in this GSX recipe?
Well, first up, you've got standards for service delivery. This is all about setting the tone for how your employees interact with guests, making sure everyone's on the same page.
So, like, having a system in place so it's not just a free-for-all.
Exactly. Think consistency. Every server knows how to describe the specials, how to suggest wine pairings, how to handle common questions or requests.
Gotcha. So it's not just winging it and hoping for the best.
Right. Then we've got coworker support, which highlights the importance of teamwork, a positive work environment where everyone has each other's back.
So when that dinner rush hits and things get crazy, it's not every server for themselves.
Exactly. It's all hands on deck, working together to make sure things run smoothly. And happier employees usually lead to happier customers.
Makes sense. What else is in this recipe for success?
Next up, we have supervisory support. This is about managers setting their team up for success.
So it's more about guidance and empowerment, less about micromanaging.
Exactly. Creating a culture where people feel trusted, respected, and motivated to do their best. And finally, the most crucial ingredient of all, guest orientation.
Okay, I'm guessing this one's all about the customer.
You got it. It's about going above and beyond to meet their needs, create a memorable experience, make them feel special, not just taking orders and delivering food, but really connecting with them.
So it's like the difference between a transactional experience and a truly hospitable one.
Exactly. The book actually shares a great story about a manager named Mark Maynard who implemented an employee dining survey at Union Square Cafe in New York City.
Wait, so they had their own employees pretend to be customers?
In a way, yes. They wanted to get feedback from their own staff to see how they could improve the customer experience.
Kind of like a secret shopper program, but with your own team.
Exactly. And it worked. The survey revealed both positive feedback and some valuable areas for improvement.
Like what?
Well, it led to changes in all sorts of things, from the way they answered the phone to the organization of the wine list. They even refreshed the menu and replaced some uncomfortable chairs.
Wow, so even a well-established place like Union Square Cafe can benefit from taking a step back and getting a fresh perspective.
Absolutely. And the key takeaway here is to constantly seek feedback both from your employees and your customers, and then use that feedback to make meaningful changes.
Makes sense. It's like taste testing your own dishes to make sure they're seasoned just right.
Exactly. And speaking of hitting the right notes, let's talk about the impact of guest orientation on customer satisfaction. This is where things get really interesting. The research shows that those employees who are more guest-oriented are more likely to create happier customers.
So it's not just about being polite and efficient. It's It's about that extra level of attentiveness and anticipation.
You got it. It's about noticing that a guest's glass is getting low and offering a refill before they even have to ask. It's about remembering their usual order or making recommendations based on their past preferences.
Those little touches can really make a difference.
They absolutely do. And you know what else makes a difference? A smooth and efficient payment process.
Yeah, no one wants to feel trapped by a slow check.
Exactly. The research shows that a faster post-meal experience actually leads to greater customer satisfaction, especially in casual and upscale casual restaurants.
So even if the food and service were amazing, a clunky payment process could leave a bad taste in their mouth.
Sadly, yes. It's all about ending the experience on a high note. Now, we've talked about satisfying those customers, but how do we keep them coming back for more?
Right, because one-time visitors are great, but repeat customers are the bread and butter of any successful restaurant.
Exactly. The book introduces this concept called the comeback score, which is essentially a measure of customer loyalty.
Okay, tell me more about this comeback score. How do we measure it, and what does a good score look like?
It's pretty simple, really. It reflects the percentage of guests who say they intend to return within 30 days. And the research shows that even a small increase in this score can lead to a big jump in annual guest counts, which means more revenue.
Okay, I'm definitely interested in boosting our comeback score. So we've got attended service, a smooth payment process. What else can we do to cultivate those loyal customers?
Well, let's talk about something that no restaurant owner wants to deal with, but is inevitable: complaints.
Ugh, complaints. It's like that one burnt piece of toast that ruins the whole breakfast.
I hear you. But even with the best intentions, sometimes things go wrong and customers aren't happy. So the question is, how do we handle those complaints effectively?
Right, because a bad review online can really hurt a restaurant's reputation.
It definitely can. This fascinating concept called media richness theory, which basically says that different communication channels have different levels of richness.
Okay, break that down for me.
For example, face-to-face interaction is considered much richer than written communication, like a comment card or an email.
So a heated exchange with a manager is richer than a passive-aggressive Yelp review.
You could say that, and here's something interesting. The research suggests that guests who prefer that face-to-face communication are actually more likely to complain. They want direct resolution, a chance to voice their grievances and have them addressed on the spot.
So maybe those angry online reviewers are the ones who felt ignored or dismissed and didn't get a chance to express their concerns directly.
It's a possibility, and this highlights the importance of creating an environment where customers feel comfortable speaking up, knowing that their feedback will be taken seriously.
So it's not about avoiding complaints, it's about creating a space where they can be addressed openly and constructively.
Exactly. Now, even with the best systems in place, some complaints are unavoidable. Some really insightful stories from Mark Maynard, drawing on his experience opening Blue Smoke, a barbecue restaurant in New York City.
Oh yeah, Blue Smoke. I've heard good things.
Well, Maynard talks about the challenges of managing expectations, especially when you're trying to please two very different types of customers.
In this case, barbecue enthusiasts and fans of the more upscale USHG restaurants.
You got it. He talks about the importance of being proactive, anticipating potential complaints, and engaging with guests in a way that's tailored to their individual needs. He even started giving smoker tours to educate people about the process and build excitement.
That's a cool idea. It's like giving them a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the culinary magic.
Right. Transparency and education can go a long way in building trust and mitigating complaints. And of course, we can't talk about complaints these days without mentioning social media.
Yes, the double-edged sword of social media. It can be a powerful tool for connecting with customers, but also a breeding ground for negativity.
Exactly. The challenges of monitoring and responding to complaints online, especially for businesses with limited resources.
Yeah, it can feel like trying to put out a wildfire with a garden hose.
Right. But even with the challenges, it's important to view social media as an opportunity to engage with guests, solve problems, and amplify those positive reviews.
So instead of fearing the online mob, embrace it as a chance to build relationships and show people you care.
Exactly. It's all about shifting your mindset and using social media to enhance the overall guest experience.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. SEO, guest orientation, complaint management. What other juicy insights does this book have in store for us?
Well, let's talk about something that often gets overlooked but can have a big impact: ambiance.
Ambiance. The mood, the lighting, the music, the overall vibe of the place.
Exactly. There's a common belief that lighting in particular can influence diner behavior. Dim lights for a romantic date night, brighter lights for a quicker lunch crowd.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that. So are we talking about subliminal messaging through light bulbs?
Not quite, but the book does present a study that tested the effects of full spectrum lighting on sales and meal duration.
Full spectrum lighting, like those fancy light bulbs that are supposed to mimic natural daylight.
The very same. So the question was, did those sunshine vibes lead to higher spending or faster dining?
And what did they find?
Surprisingly, the study found that full spectrum lighting didn't have a significant impact on either.
Huh. So much for the power of sunshine.
Right. The takeaway here is that while lighting is certainly important for setting the mood, it's not a magic bullet for increasing sales or speeding up table turnover.
So focus on creating a lighting design that supports the overall ambience and concept rather than trying to manipulate customer behavior.
Exactly. Now, let's move on to another aspect of ambience that can make or break the dining experience: table size and spacing.
Okay, yeah, no one wants to feel like they're crammed into a tiny table, bumping elbows with their neighbors.
Exactly. The book cites a study that looked at the effects of what they call right-sizing tables versus giving larger tables to smaller parties. They found that guests seated at those larger tables reported a higher levels of satisfaction, they felt more comfortable, and less crowded.
So bigger is better.
Well, it's not quite that simple. The study also found that there was no significant difference in repeat intentions or recommendations between those who sat at larger tables and those who didn't.
So while a larger table might make for a more enjoyable experience in the moment, it doesn't necessarily translate to greater loyalty or word-of-mouth marketing.
Exactly. But the book also includes some interesting thoughts from Mark Maynard on this topic. He agrees that table size should align with the overall concept, but he believes that offering a larger table for special occasions can be a really nice touch.
Oh, I love that. Like, if you know a couple is celebrating their anniversary, give them a little extra space to spread out and enjoy themselves.
Exactly. And he emphasizes the importance of actually communicating that gesture to the guest, making them feel seen and appreciated.
Such a simple way to elevate the experience. Okay, we've talked table size. What about spacing? How do you strike that balance between privacy and creating a lively, bustling atmosphere?
Well, the research found that table spacing consistently received the lowest satisfaction ratings overall, suggesting that it's a crucial factor in creating a comfortable dining environment.
So people are picky about their personal space. I can relate to that.
Absolutely. This particular study actually categorized table spacing into 3 levels: near, moderate, and far. They also compared tables in different locations, like against a wall versus near a railing.
So a table tucked away in a quiet corner might feel more private than a table in the middle of the room, even if the physical distance is the same.
Exactly. It's all about considering the layout and flow of the space and creating a design that feels both comfortable and inviting.
Man, there's so much more to restaurant design than I ever realized. It's like a carefully choreographed dance between ambience, functionality, and customer experience.
It really is. And speaking of choreography, let's shift gears and talk about the increasing role of technology in restaurants.
Ooh, technology. Are we talking robot servers and drone deliveries?
Not quite yet, though I'm sure that's coming. This book focuses more on the current landscape of restaurant technology, specifically things like self-service technologies or SSTs.
Okay, so more like those tabletop ordering devices or those kiosks where you can order and pay without ever interacting with a human.
Exactly. The book actually mentions a survey that looked at operators' opinions and perceptions of SSTs, and the results were pretty mixed.
Mixed, how so?
Well, some restaurateurs are all for it. They see SSTs as a way to improve efficiency, reduce labor costs, and even enhance the guest experience in some ways. Others are more hesitant, worried about the potential for technology to depersonalize the dining experience and create a barrier between staff and guests.
Right, because part of the joy of dining out is that human connection, that feeling of being taken care of.
Absolutely. And that's why thoughtful implementation is so important. It's about finding that sweet spot where technology complements the dining experience, not replaces it.
Gotcha. So are there any proven benefits to using SSTs, or is it mostly hypothetical at this point?
There's actually some pretty compelling research on this. The book highlights a study that looked at the impact of tabletop technology, like ordering and payment devices, in full-service restaurants.
And what do they find?
Well, first of all, guests who used those devices spent significantly more on average.
Really? So maybe having that technology at your fingertips makes you more likely to splurge on an extra appetizer or dessert?
Maybe. The study doesn't delve into the psychology behind it, but the numbers are interesting. And there's another potential benefit. Restaurants using these devices saw a significant reduction in the amount of service labor required.
So they could potentially operate with fewer servers, which could translate to lower labor costs.
Exactly. But the book cautions against viewing technology solely as a way to cut staff and save money. It's about using it strategically to enhance the overall experience for everyone involved.
Right, because you don't want to sacrifice good service for the sake of efficiency.
Absolutely. Now, the book also includes some really valuable insights from Mark Maynard on this topic. He emphasizes the importance of careful technology implementation, making sure it complicates the restaurant's concept and doesn't feel intrusive to guests.
Right, you wouldn't want to walk into a cozy, family-run Italian trattoria and be greeted by a robot taking your order.
Exactly. He also highlights the need to empower employees and create a positive work environment, acknowledging that technology can be a valuable tool, but it should never replace genuine hospitality.
Okay, I'm starting to see the potential here. Technology as a supporting character, not the star of the show. But this all leads to a bigger question, doesn't it? In an increasingly digital world, how do restaurants find that balance between leveraging technology and preserving the human touch? But what about the people behind the scenes? The ones making all the magic happen.
Ah, you're talking about the heart of the house, the employees.
Exactly. And, they're often the unsung heroes of the restaurant world.
You said it. It's a tough gig, no doubt about it. Long hours, hot kitchens, demanding customers. You got to have a certain kind of grit to thrive in that environment.
For sure. And that's why the next frontier of restaurant management spends a lot of time talking about the employee experience.
Yeah, attracting talent, training them, keeping them happy and motivated, it's all crucial.
Right, because a happy team means happy customers, right?
Absolutely. The book emphasizes creating a positive and supportive work environment. It's about making people feel valued, respected, not just like cogs in a machine.
So it's not just about a paycheck, it's about fostering a sense of purpose, of being part of something bigger.
Exactly. It's about providing opportunities for growth, clear career paths, building a real sense of community among the staff.
It's like creating a family where everyone supports each other.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And they talk about this interesting concept of categorizing restaurants employees into different career orientation groups.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So not like team pizza versus team pasta. What are these groups?
Well, they've got the careerists, the folks who are all in on the restaurant industry. They see it as a long-term career path. They're passionate, ambitious, always looking to learn and grow.
So like the future chefs and restaurateurs, the ones dreaming of Michelin stars.
Exactly. Then there are the undecideds. They're still figuring things out, maybe exploring their options. They might be in it for the experience, the flexible schedule, or just the thrill of the restaurant world.
So they're keeping their options open, seeing where life takes them.
Precisely. And then you've got the passing throughs, the folks who view restaurant work as temporary, maybe they're students or artists, using it as a means to an end.
Makes sense. I imagine managing these different groups requires different strategies.
You got it. The book talks about tailoring your management style. For careerists, it's about leadership opportunity, challenging them to grow. For undecideds, mentorship, helping them discover their passions. And for passing throughs, creating a flexible and supportive environment that respects their other commitments.
Wow, that's making me rethink my whole approach to managing people. It's about recognizing individual goals and creating a work experience that feels personalized and meaningful.
That's the key. And regardless of their career orientation, the book emphasizes empowering everyone to take ownership of their work, to contribute their unique skills and perspective.
Yeah, like saying, hey, you have something valuable to offer, even if you're just passing through.
Exactly. Which leads to a bigger question. How do we make restaurants a more desirable and fulfilling place to work? A place where people want to stay and build their careers?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? What's the secret sauce for creating that kind of work environment?
Well, the book shares some really inspiring examples from successful restaurant groups like Union Square Hospitality Group, known for their amazing company culture.
USHG, they're like the gold standard. What's their secret?
Well, Mark Maynard actually shared some of his insights from his time there. He talks about leading by example, setting clear expectations, fostering open communication.
So it's not just about barking orders, it's about creating a space where people feel comfortable sharing ideas.
Exactly. He also emphasizes recognizing and rewarding contributions, even the small ones. A little appreciation goes a long way.
It's all about making people feel valued and appreciated.
Absolutely. And they're big on providing opportunities for growth and development, training programs, mentorship, things like that.
It's about investing in your employees' futures.
Exactly. It seems like the key is to create a culture of empowerment, respect, and continuous learning.
That's a powerful recipe for success. So we've explored how to get customers in the door with SEO, how to create an amazing guest experience, and now how to build a thriving work environment. It's been quite a journey.
It really has, and I think the biggest takeaway is that data, technology, and a people-centric approach are all essential ingredients in the recipe for restaurant success.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's the passion, the creativity, the dedication of the people that truly make the restaurant world go round.
Cheers to that, and cheers to all those hardworking folks in the restaurant industry.